And we're on. Hello and welcome to podcast episode 155 of Robodope Boxing, where this week Dave G is joined by the boxing encyclopedia himself, Mr. Sam Walker of the fantastic podcast SW Fight Hub. Sam, thanks for joining me today in Dave's absence. He will be back in a couple of weeks. Good to have you back on, brother. How's things?
Yeah, really good, Dave. Thanks, mate. Always a pleasure. I was actually trying to cast my mind back to when I was last on. I think it was Canelo Crawford. So you wheel me out for the big ones, mate. We've got another big one this weekend. So, can't wait for it and looking forward to rambling boxing, mate, for the next while.
Yeah, Dave seemed to disappear for the big ones. It's a bit strange, that, isn't it? But yeah, get a proper boxing guy to do it. But now, before we crack into it, mate, I've only got you for an hour. I've got a few reviews to whiz through from the weekend. And obviously, there's a big stacked card, not just in the UK with Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. There's a bit happening in the States as well, which I want your thoughts and predictions and previews on as well. But before we start, mate, please, anyone new to the channel, please like, share and subscribe via YouTube and via Spotify. Let's jump into what happened at the weekend, Sam. Let's jump over into Texas, or Dallas to be precise. Virgil Ortiz Jr. versus Erickson Lubin. Interim belt on the line, as everybody, all boxing fans know. I've written the banner there, mate. Anything Boots can do, Virgil can do better. Now, when I say can do better, that's obviously opinion-based. Obviously, Boots Ennis, the previous month, done a job on his opponent in Lima in 1 round. Virgil Ortiz done the job on Lubin in 2 rounds on Saturday. A higher caliber opponent, I think most would say, Lubin, compared to Lima. When we made our predictions last week, mate, and I think yourself and Jay and Liam were the same, you probably did expect Virgil Ortiz Jr. to get the job done, but not this quick. And maybe this fashion, yes, but probably back end of the fight, I thought Lubin would offer a lot more. Yes, he's a lot older now. He's been in that weight category for 11 years. He stepped at the top table before against Charlo, was stopped in a round. Is he at a kind of, what should I say, fringe world level? But irrelevant of Lubin, even though it's a talking point, mate, how good was Ortiz Jr. on Saturday?
Yeah, he looks sensational, didn't he, mate? He's coming off 2 decision wins, isn't he? Had the Fight of the Year contender with Bohachuk last year, and then a really good performance where he dug deep against the tricky Israel Madrimov on the Feb 22nd card. So, I agree with what you said. I picked Virgil Ortiz, and he said Victor Ortiz and Virgil Ortiz.
Luis Ortiz.
Luis Ortiz. I picked Ortiz to win via a late stoppage. I do remember Jamel, Charlo Ice and Erickson Lubin all those years ago for his only... Fundora stopped him as well. It was more of a retirement, wasn't it? But, I mean, I didn't expect it to go early. But Virgil Ortiz looks sensational, to be fair. And all the noise now is that maybe the Boots fight isn't necessarily going to happen. I don't know if Turkey's going to step in and try and do something about that, but we got to see it. It's a great fight. 154 is just a sharp tank at the minute. It's not even a world title fight as it stands. It's an interim championship fight.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about it, mate. But the actual knockout itself, he knocked Lubin, knocked him out standing on his feet.
Yeah.
I mean, Robert Garcia, the opposite trainer, Virgil Ortiz's trainer, had to run in and get him a stall ASAP. That was how kind of destructive it was. And obviously, the good thing about that, Sam, was you had Boots sitting next to Eddie Hearn in the crowd. Boots got into the ring. They faced off. But here's the kind of, you mentioned Turkey Al-Sheikh, there's probably the only guy that can make it happen, which is a shame. You've kind of got like, at the moment, the champion's sewn up. We've seen this week Xander Zayas versus Abbas Barao going to unify 2 of the belts. You've got Fundora, the other champion, fighting against Keith Thurman on a PB show in 2026. You've got, looks like Murtazeliev against Josh Kelly, whether that's gone to purse bids or not. That's one of the other belts. So it only leaves the 2 interim belts. Now, even though they faced off, even though there have been sound bites and catchphrases from both teams, etc., Virgil Ortiz Jr.'s looking in a completely different direction this time. He's talking about fighting Errol Spence Jr., who looks like to be coming out of retirement after 2 weeks. I mean, we saw the Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua thing this week, mate. Well, yesterday, to be precise. And I put out like a little tweet today about, I'm kind of learning now that boxing isn't a sport. It's a business. It's about what's best for the fighters. Yeah. So you're right. Will we see Boots versus Ortiz Jr.? Or is it a case of Virgil Ortiz Jr. might go down the Errol Spence Jr. route because it might make him more money, or there might be kind of discussions already happened with Golden Boy and PBC. What do you make of that? It's not the fight we want, clearly, but if he goes down that direction, I'm not going to blame him anymore, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, well, it certainly wouldn't be the most daft thing we've seen, had it. But from what I've been listening to in the interviews and so on and so forth, it seems like the execs at DAZN are kind of putting pressure on Oscar and Eddie to kind of make that fight. It seems from the outset, looking in, that Boots seems to want the matchup more than Virgil Ortiz. That doesn't necessarily mean that Ortiz doesn't want it, because he's proven already that he'll fight anybody. Just look at his last 3 or 4 fights. He isn't afraid to fight anybody. But I don't know whether it's posturing, whether they want Boots to say, I'll take 40% just to get the fight on. I need the name on my resume, whatever it is. You just don't know. It could be negotiation tactics. Look at DAZN's kind of schedule or big fights, if you want to call it that. They're going to let AJ fight on Netflix. You just referenced what we saw yesterday with the Paul thing. Their first quarter of 2026 for me needs to be big, because we've got this fight on Saturday and there's been a couple of other things going on, but it hasn't been the strongest year overall, I don't think, for boxing this year. I think next year we really need to see, and DAZN's the place where 90% of the fights seem to be now. So I think they need that one. Talk of it being a Vegas fight as well. I don't really want to see, the shadow of Errol Spence getting knocked out in 4 rounds by Virgil Ortiz, to be fair. But like you say, if there's a couple more million in the Spence fight, which I don't really see how there can be. I don't know if Spence is still with PBC or whether he's retired, so he's a free agent now. But yeah, it doesn't whet the appetite, does it? But who knows, mate? Who knows?
Yeah, definitely, mate. It's the Wild West, as people refer to boxing. It literally is, because you do make it up as you go along. But I had thoughts going through my head there, mate, with PBC. Sebastian Fundora is clearly a PBC fighter. Is there a case of whoever wins between Furman, who is also a PBC fighter, and Fundora, are promising Virgil Ortiz the shot at that belt, that WBC belt? Do you know what I mean? Go that route rather than go a different route, the Boots route. I don't know. But yeah, hopefully we do get to see that fight, mate. Whatever will be in 2026. On the undercard, Darius Fulgham versus David Stevens. Majority draw on this card, mate, at 168. Me and Dave spoke about Fulgham last week. There's been great noise coming out the Golden Boy camp, and you expect that from Oscar and his fighters. But we had a lot of negativity towards Fulgham. His previous fights against Melikuziev, Bully, who's at a certain level, are kind of no disrespect, but no one's talking about the Bully winning a world title, maybe a regular belt or an IBO, something like that, Sam. But defensively, Fulgham looks rubbish. Attackingly, his offense looks weak. And I made the reference last week, mate. He reminds me a lot of a 168 kind of Anthony Joshua. The way he stands, he's very easy to hit. He throws out a lazy jab, like he's kind of trying to catch butterflies. And any time he gets landed on the chin, he kind of panics and he's all over the place. I don't believe, and I want every boxer to do well. I don't believe that Darius Fulgham at 168, just yet at the ripe old age of 29, coming into his prime, is nowhere near a contender against the likes of your Caleb Plants in the division, your Mbillis, your Shirazes, your Pachecos, even your Edgar Belangas to an extent, So what I'm basically trying to say, and I want your opinion clearly, I'm not getting the next kind of the next gen 168 fighter vibe from Darius Fulgham. I'm really not, Sam.
Yeah, to be fair, there, I didn't catch the fight on Saturday, but I did watch the Bet Melikuziev fight where he was narrowly beaten. He was beaten on points, wasn't he, in the end? Look, Melikuziev is what he is. We all remember the Gabriel Rosado KO of the year. That was down at middle, I think, quite a few years ago now. Melikuziev is what he is. Fulgham, it's a loss and a draw in his last 2. He's been getting the big treatment, hasn't he, from Oscar, as you say. So, yes, disappointing. Definitely need to part the brakes on him for now. Drop down a level. I don't know. Stevens is no mug, to be fair. It's not like
he also lost to the Bully, didn't he? He lost to the Bully.
Yeah, exactly.
Well.
He's not losing to, tomato cans, as the Americans like to call them. But there's clearly something that's gone awry in the last... And he hasn't been stopped or anything like that. So, you have to take these things out of it, but he needs to be winning fights, not necessarily the Melikuziev fight, but on Saturday night he needs to be winning those kind of fights if he's going to have world title aspirations. But I agree with you, I don't think he's quite there. The
fundamentals, Sam, don't seem to be there. That's the worrying thing. Defensively, very poor. The feet, can't plant his feet. He can't get into position to throw a shot. It just looks a mess. You know, who am I to criticize? I sit here and talk about it. He gets in there and does it. But the last couple of fights now, mate, going by what Oscar's saying and Golden Boy and the sound bites, like, yeah, I'm just hopefully, you know, must do better if you like. But yeah, I wasn't impressed, and Stevens wasn't much better, to be honest, Sam. So yeah, let's see what happens to him at 168. Robin Safar was on this card, mate. Do you remember Robin Safar beating Sergey Kovalev over in Riyadh? He was out on this card, mate, against Derek Miller Jr. Never heard of Miller Jr. Both unbeaten fighters. Good fight at the end of the day. This was a good scrap on this card. Unanimous decision win for Safar, mate. I've written there in the banner, can he bring a new challenge to the cruiserweight division? Cruiserweight is very, very weak. It's only Jai Bataille, really, and old man Badou Jack and a couple of others floating about. It's shit. Let's be honest, the division is shit. So Safar got the win. Some good angles, can hit hard, comes forward, likes to throw. Can you see any positives, mate? And especially with that banner I put there. I mean, it was a unanimous decision win. I thought it was the fair result. But can you see him possibly moving up now? He's signed with Golden Boy, doing anything in the division, mate, getting the fights that's available, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, his best win's Kovalev, isn't it, really? But, I mean, that Derek Miller Jr., again, I didn't catch the fight, but I obviously remember so far from the Kovalev fight. But, again, it's slim pickings at 200 pounds at the minute, isn't it? You know, do I think that he's got the ability to go on and be a world champion? Probably not, if I'm being honest. But, look, if Opataya moves up and Zerdo, you know, I don't think Zerdo will ever be a heavyweight, but if he is. Look, there may be an opportunity to win a vacant belt or something like that. But as you say, it's really uninspiring at the minute what's going on in the cruiserweight division for me. There's a lack of talent. There's probably going to be the next breath that come through, like the WBSS guys, your Usyk Gassievs and your Marco Hooks and your Bradis, people like that. It was a great division, wasn't it, 7 or 8 years ago? But it's really fell off a cliff now, and I don't really think Safar's going to be, I mean, what is he, 31, 32 now? It's not like he's a prospect or anything like that. So, I don't know, undefeated fighter. You know, you never really know your level till you lose, as they say. But yeah, not for me, mate.
Just quickly before we move on to an absolute silly fight to round off the review, do you think there's a case here with Golden Boy signing Safar now and obviously Zerdo
Possibly.
not given the opportunity. Zerdo not given the opportunity to Jai Bataille? Do you think it could be a kind of a PBC situation where Oscar's thinking about giving a voluntary to Zerdo with Safar and keeping that belt in house for even longer? Because nobody seems to be wanting to give Jai Bataille the fight. The other belts in the division, he's fighting mandatory after mandatory, getting the job done and waiting. Again, my bones kind of, you know, ticking over, but that could be, you can see a possibility there, Sam, you know?
Yeah, I don't understand really what the issue is with, you know, he fought on Latino night against Bill and Smith, Zerdo, you know, Oscar, and they all have the relationship with Turkey. Jai is a Matchroom Tasman fighters guy who's one of Turkey's favourites, seems to get him out a lot of Riyadh season cards. But somebody close, if Fury and Usyk can happen, somebody close to Jai Bataille needs to be asking questions as to why his fighter can't get into big unification fights, or if not, just fuck it off and move to heavyweight. That's my stance on him. Yeah. Apologies for the language.
No, you go for it, mate. You go for it. Right, and to end the review, the question's there for you, mate. Otto Wallin at the weekend against his opponent in Chris Thomas, a cruiserweight coming up to heavyweight, ranked 404 in the world, knocked him out in 2 rounds. What do we learn from that? What does Otto Wallin learn from that? If he's going to go back into be a contender, I didn't see the point of it, Sam. Thoughts?
No, the absolute joke of a fight. His opponent actually campaigned at middleweight or light middleweight or something previously. So he's just been to the In-N-Out burger place probably and just stuffed his face to get up to heavyweight to fight Otto. But look, Dave, the Chisora fight told me all we need to know about Otto Wallin. He was kind of regarded after the Fury performance where Fury was flat as a pancake, wasn't he? Joshua kind of showed how you deal with him. Then a shot to bits, Chisora absolutely, you know, ran. It's a decision loss, but we saw what he did. He had him down a few times and everything like that. Otto Wallin, really uninspiring to watch. You know, we thought he was crafty at one point of his career. We've realised now that he really isn't. He's just slow and robotic.
Mate, you look at that Gassiev performance. Sorry, Sam. You look at that Gassiev performance out in Turkey when he kind of schooled him with that southpaw style, and you think this is good. This is a boxer here. You know what? He's going to give AJ some problems, and you've just kind of nailed it on the head now. It doesn't look interested anymore. He's turning into an opponent. This wasn't even the main event. I don't whether he's just going out there to get paid for a pittance, whether it is. I've never heard of this promotional company before.
Tick over in the shop window again for an opponent. Moses Atama or somebody like that.
But mate, 400, he's fighting a guy that you just said has actually come up probably a career middleweight. It's ranked 404 in the world. You can't go out. It's like the Anthony Joshua, Jake Paul to an extent. If you're going out and sparking him out, if it ever does happen, and then going in against a contender, it ain't great prep. That's what I'm saying. I don't get this fight. I just didn't get this fight the weekend. I really didn't.
Pointless.
It was pointless, mate. Is this pointless? Let's jump into the previews, mate, and predictions. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, part 2, Saturday night, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, live on DAZN. We've already seen it once. Fantastic, Sam, in April. A bit of rock'em sock'em. Unanimous decision win for Eubank. Probably a knockout was all it lacked. We had the narrative that we were the egg slap, the rehydration clauses, the fines, the WWE moment, the storylines. Brilliant. You know, we're going to look back in the review of the year, and it's going to be up there. It's one of the stories and one of the fights of the year. Just talking to you off air, mate. Just been watching a bit of the presser. Haven't quite got to Eubank and Ben yet. We know what's probably going to happen with Chris Eubank talking over Reddy and kind of trying to sell it and going over the ambulance thing and things like that. However, as big boxing fans as we are, mate, maybe Saturday night my attitude might change. But I'm not excited for part 2. How good part 1 was. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to pay for it, but I'm not in fight mode yet, if that makes sense. Are you?
Absolutely not, mate. Me and the boys said exactly the same thing earlier on in the week. It just hasn't been there. I quoted a few times saying that the first fight was the perfect storm. You know, Senior arriving on fight night, the egg slap, as you referred to. You know, it just felt, and obviously the fight delivered, which really helped as well. You know, it was promoted really well, but it was kind of one of them that I know there was a rematch clause signed, and we all knew it was going to happen. There's too much money at stake. They're splitting 18 million quid, I read earlier. So, look, I get it from that point of view. The weight was what widely spoken about. You know, the ambit, like everything went on, and, you know, it kind of was incredibly well promoted. But this time, it's kind of like they've ran out of material almost. You know, they can't bring Will Senior in. You know, the egg slap, you'll never, ever get anything that's going to go as viral as that again. So, like you said, I'm kind of half interested because we know for a fact that it's definitely not captivating us hardcore boxing fans. They'll probably get the casuals involved from tonight onwards. I've said that I'm expecting there'll be a bit of a scuffle or whatever at tonight's press conference. It's probably happening now or about to happen. But my prediction will be that there will be something that's going to... So Red Turkey's giving out 2,000 comps to black cab drivers, and we know it's not selling like the first one. It doesn't help this November for a stadium and everything like that. But I don't have the buzz for it. To be honest, next weekend is where my buzz is at for the Ring Magazine card.
Mate, my kids play football, and obviously when there's big fights, there's normally talk on the touchlines, you know, about it. And my lad had training on Tuesday, and like I'm off this week because it's my birthday week. And me and Mrs. will have a few drinks. Thanks, brother. And we're going to watch the fight together. So we were talking about it at training. And some of the dads said, is that this weekend? I'm like, but no idea. Absolutely no idea. But for the first one, they were like, can't wait. I've already paid my pay-per-view, getting the beers in, getting the lads round, getting the pizzas in. Then they've got a clue. And these are casuals. They didn't even know. So
it's a fight for the casuals, isn't it? Our week's next week. In for the hardcore boxing fans, we know that next week's show's tremendous. Yeah.
But going back to the first fight, mate. Obviously, it's time. You can make the previews for the predictions for Dave for our prediction league, mate, because he's not here. But the first fight did deliver in sense of not in the sweet science or anything like that. Skills went out the window, but as a kind of a barroom brawl, if you like, a bit of a slobber knocker, which we all like to see every now and again, which is fantastic. What do either guy do different this time, Sam? We know Chris Eubank Jr. Let's be honest, he's the bigger guy. He's got the longer reach. He's got more experience. He's been in with a better level of opponent. The list is kind of endless. We know he's brought Bomac in for a reason, and we'll elaborate why he's brought him in to change things up. But Conor Benn, try and forget about the kind of drugs failed. I know it's hard to do as a boxing fan because it still riles me to this day that he's never come out and explained how it's got in his system, etc. But there's a time and a place for that. I can't see how he fights any different. He doesn't do anything any different. I mean, those wild swings, I mean, he fights on heart, desire, energy, cojones. That's fantastic. But he needs a little bit more. I mean, I know there's no title involved in. He said he's going to go back down to 147, 154. But to actually win the boxing match, I think the changes will be made drastically. Not drastically, but tweaked by Chris Eubank Jr.'s team. I just don't know what Conor Benn does different, Sam. What do you think, mate? What can he do to improve?
I think, you know, the narrative that Ben's team is spinning is that I fought terribly and he fought off plan or whatever it may be. But the way he fought, I think it's rubbish as well. I think the way he fought is the way that he could win the fight. It's the only way he can win the fight. You think he's going to win a boxing match with Junior? And as we know, Junior is not Terence Crawford, is he? But like Junior is a much better boxer than Conor Benn. He's more experienced, he's bigger, but he genuinely is a better technical boxer than Benn. So if Ben's going to come in with this attitude of, you know, I'm going to box to instructions this time, like for me, you've got no chance of winning the fight. You need to do what you did last time and hope that April took a lot out of Chris Eubank Jr., which it may well have done. You know, the weight cut this time's just been too bad. You know, how many more times can he go to the well at 36? All of these things are factors. But I'm with you. You know, I don't really see a way in 7 or 8 months or whatever it's been that what is Ben going to be able to do? I don't know if it's a double bluff and they're saying all these things, but like, when has Conor Benn ever boxed to a game plan or instructions or whatever it is? He's ferocious, he's game, he's aggressive, and that's kind of what made for a good fight the first time around in April. And I fully expect that if he has got this game plan that they're talking about, that when he gets punched in the face, that he'll revert to type. That's that, and we'll probably get another fight similar to the first one.
And what about Bomac? He's been brought in to kind of tweak certain things. Obviously, the trainer of the year, Terence Crawford, he's probably going to win it, etc. You know, doing fantastic gyms over fantastic things, over there with Stephen Fulton as well and things like that. However, what I could see happening this time, mate, I could see kind of Chris Eubank Jr. maybe overlooked Conor Benn a little bit. He did
fight, for sure.
Because he did fight heart on his sleeve at times, and there was rock'em sock'em involved. The game plan may have went out the window to an extent, but I could see him getting behind that jab. I could see him breaking him down, counter punching those wild swings that anybody without a trained eye can see are coming, and kind of start coming in and counter punching and breaking him down and possibly stopping or giving him a masterclass that way. I think Bomac's been brought in so he can try and get the job done quicker, find a kind of easy route to get the job done quicker, because I agree with you. The middle rounds, Chris Eubank Jr. looked shagged, and how he pulled it out the bag the last 3 rounds to kind of cement that win was fantastic. To say he was possibly weight drained, etc., was absolutely brilliant at 160. So I don't know if he wants to go into the trenches this time, Sam. I'm not sure at the age of 36 that he's got enough left in the tank to keep doing 12 grueling rounds, especially against the caliber. I'm not saying the world-class caliber of Conor Benn, not at all, but someone that keeps coming, someone that keeps throwing, someone that keeps pushing you on your chest, someone that doesn't give up. You know, it's going to be tiring for the opponent as well. So thoughts, what's Bomac been brought in for, mate?
Yeah, well, it looked strictly business this time for Junior and the team, doesn't it? You know, I've seen some of the training videos with Bomac. Just like, you know, missing the weight by point whatever of a pound it was the first time. And none of these things are going to happen this time. It definitely looks like he's had a better camp. Obviously, watching all the interviews, I've no idea if he has or not. They all say that, but I think everything leans towards the fact that he did take the first fight a little bit lightly, and he definitely is taking this one 100% serious. He knows now what Conor Benn can bring, whatever that was in April. He's aware of what it is now. Look, he's got a good record in rematches. I think he's had 2 rematches. Liam Smith's one of them. I can't remember who the second one is, but I'm sure I heard him quote saying that he's never lost a rematch. So I just think all of these things, there's more ways that Eubank can, you know,
skin a cat.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's more ways that he can improve, right? And I don't believe the bullshit narrative that Ben bots terribly, that they're all peddling on the Matchroom side.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. Just before you make your prediction, mate, is this it for Chris Eubank Jr.? Again, I refers back to his age. Conor Benn can go back down and do what he likes. You know, he's got the profile and the Matchroom banner, and he can probably jump straight into a world title fight with Mario Barrios or Pacquiao or any of those kind of guys. So I kind of forget him. We know what he's going to do when he jumps back down. But Chris Eubank Jr., 160, we spoke about struggling to weight. I go with the consensus of a lot of paid pundits on the TV and social media are saying he's definitely a 168 fighter. He may be trying to kid everybody that he is a 160 fighter. He's been in their division a long time. We've had stagnant champions as in Lara and Adames and Yanni Beck fighting once a year. He's had opportunities with his name, could get voluntaries and fight for world titles. For whatever reason, he hasn't chose to do that. So where does he go next, mate? Does he call it a day? Does he keep kidding himself? What I believe is kidding himself and fighting at 160 against names, if there's any down there, or does he jump up to 168, a proper Shark Tank, and kind of test himself, even like as a big domestic against Hamza Shiraz or something like that? Where does he go after, Sam?
It's an interesting point because I think I kind of alluded to the fact that he could retire when I was chatting to the boys. I think they were on a different.
Now the twins are coming.
Yeah. There is that to it as well, but. Look, we know Junior's motivations, don't we? It's not necessarily ever been world titles, but he loves a pound note.
Yeah.
Where is he going to find a payday similar to what he's got for his last two fights? Even with Hamza Shiraz, I think it'd do well to get 4 or 5 mil for that. The rumor is he's getting 10 mil for Saturday night. True. So look, I don't know. Like he likes the limelight, he lives the life. That's one thing you can say about Junior, but. If I had to say, I think if he wins on Saturday night, you could see a retirement. Obviously, if he loses, I think the third fight's probably there, even though they've said the rivalry ends here on Saturday night. Obviously, if it goes 1-1, there'll be a trilogy. Yeah.
The only other name, obviously being devil's advocate, if you like, or thinking ahead, who's been spoke about at 160 is Terence Crawford. Doing the old 4-time undisputed champion. He's been speaking last week about fighting at 160. Yanni Beck's name was mentioned. When you talked about money fights, I know Bomac is not going to go back to Chris Eubank Jr. It's a bit like Ben Davison and all the fighters he's got at heavyweight and matchmaking AJ and Wardy and all those kind of people. That could be the only possible one that pays the cheddar ching for Chris Eubank Jr. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Looking forward to it. I will do on Saturday night. I'll get once a beer.
Oh yeah, we'll be there on Saturday night. There's no doubt.
At the moment, I'm not quite there, and I'm not quite there with this guy, Sam. Not Echo Westman, but Jack Catterall. We kind of on this podcast, mate. I don't know. I listen to your content, and it's very similar to what me and Dave say. I get frustrated with Jack Catterall. Now I'm getting bored of every time I'm getting bored every time he's being spoken to when they speak about the undisputed. That was then. This is now. Yeah. That's been and gone. He's in a different weight class now. He went to Matchroom after that Josh Taylor fight, mate, and Eddie and Sam Jones, how good Sam Jones is as a manager, getting his fighters paid, etc. He got the mouth of the South, all that kind of jazz. He's had 6 fights with Matchroom, and yet he has not had a world title fight. He's had eliminator after eliminator after eliminator, but he hasn't had that world title fight. And he's obviously, I know there's probably reasons for it, but he's under the Matchroom banner. He was in the same division as Richardson Hitchens when he had the belt, Liam Parrow when he had the belt, Supriya Mateus when he had the belt. And it kind of smells to me, not so much Jack as like the management team or maybe the promotion, which is kind of an odd thing for me to say because they were all promoted or co-promoted by Eddie, not going to the States and being the B side, not taking a kind of a 70-30 split as a voluntary and going over to Puerto Rico or going over to Australia to go and get the belt, what he thinks is rightfully his. I get so frustrated with him. And that Harlem Eubank fight up at the new weight class now was an absolute shit show. He's gone over to Boozy Ennis over in the States. Fair play to him. And I was listening to your podcast in the week, mate, and I kind of agree with Jay about his thoughts on Boozy Ennis. He's only really got Jaron to prove that he is a good, a good trainer, what he's doing with him at the moment. But I look at what he's doing with Andy Cruz, and Jack, for me, Sam, Jack's gone over there to be a bit more exciting. He's gone over there to an offensive coach to plant his feet and trade. Now, I'm watching what he's doing with Andy Cruz, and so far it's worked. But me and Dave watch what Andy Cruz is doing now. When he stays in the pocket, he doesn't move outside, and he's getting caught with silly shots. Now, he's going to come across a fighter like Muratella, who he's supposed to be fighting in the early part of next year, who can fucking bang. You want to start trading with guys like that because your new trainer wants you to do that, you're going to get yourself into trouble. Sometimes stick to what you're good at, even if it is boring. Jack's got great fundamentals. He does the easy things very, very well, and it's effective. He's hard to hit. He's very accurate. It's not always very sellable, even to a boxing fan. But this fight on Saturday night, mate, against Echo Esserman, I haven't made my mind up yet because I don't know what version of Jack Catterall we're getting because of that Boozy Ennis connection,
Yeah, I think, there's two sides of the coin, isn't there? You got Echo, the engine, Esserman, never in a dull fight. What a fight against Owen Cooper. Did unbelievable against Josh Taylor to send him into retirement last time out. And then you got Jack Catterall shocking against Arnold Barboza, losing that one. The Harlem Eubank fight, never want to speak of it ever again. So, you got a guy on form and a guy who's coming off a win but looked terrible during the win. If it's Catterall's kind of fight, then it'll be a stinker. And if it's Esserman's kind of fight and he forces Jack Catterall to work and fight, which he will at points in the fight anyway, but if you can consistently do it over the distance, because I think we're probably all in agreement it'll be a distance fight. Echo punches harder than I think he gets credit for. Jack can sit down on the left hand when he wants, but neither regarded as finishers or huge punchers.
No.
So I'm excited to see how. Look, I'm glad for Echo getting the opportunity because he thoroughly deserves it. But I'm excited to see those last 3, 4, 5 rounds, or even the second half of the fight, because I think Esserman will come into his own then. If Jack gets into his rhythm and Echo can't stop him, then he'll probably get pinged about and lose on points. But if Jack slows down and he can switch off in fights, we know that. We've seen it. I am intrigued by it myself. I make Catterall a favourite, but just because the levels he's fought at, and he's just more consistent for me than Esserman. Let's not forget about Echo Esserman. He was seconds away from, saved by the bell against Cooper and then nailed him in the final round. It's an unbelievable fight, but that's a level below where Jack Catterall's been fighting at. But look, Echo knows how to win. He's only lost to Horrible Harry Scarf prior. He knows how to get the job done. So, yeah, I'm hoping it'll be glass half full rather than glass half empty, but I can't tell the way that it's going to go.
Same, but again, back to the Boozy Ennis thing. I know it's one fight, but it could be the instructions given from the corner completely different for Nigel and Jamie Moore. He could be kind of stuck in between styles after one fight. I'm kind of guessing a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Because he's gone to Boozy for offense. Boozy is an offensive coach. So this is why I'm stuck in it as well. And obviously Echo Esserman, he's got his chance now. What's he, 35, 36, whatever he is. Yeah. Could be a last chance saloon to kind of get his way into a mandatory shot for a world title, So this is very intriguing. Half an hour gone now. I've got so much to get through, so we'll go with predictions. But just quickly before we make the predictions of this, I didn't fucking ask you the prediction of Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. You didn't give it to me because I didn't ask. So quickly on that one and the prediction for Catterall Esserman, mate. How's Ben Eubank going? How does it end?
Yeah, Eubank stops Ben this time for me late on in the fight. Last few, 9, 10, 11-ish. If you need an exact round, I'll go round. I do. Round, it's a prediction. Round 10. Round 10. I'll go round 9 then. I'll go round 9. Yeah, I think Bomac's been brought in not to go into the trenches, so I'm with you, brother. And obviously Jack Catterall, Echo Esserman, we'll agree the same here. We can't kind of make our minds up, but which way are you going? Jack wins a tight points decision for me.
Yeah, I think it's the safest bet, isn't it?
It is.
To go Jack on points. I'm just so intrigued of what style he's going to bring. Obviously, not going to change him overnight, quite clearly. But there is going to be signs that he's that's what Boots does that, or or so and so does that from the Ennis camp, etc. So interesting, mate. I'm interested in this one as well. Adam Azim, Kurt Scooby, massive fan of Adam Azim. I think he is a generational talent, or can be. I think Benham Shalom, for the shit he gets, is navigated his career very, very well. The last two opponents he's had, Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, was Lipmanets and O'Hara Davis, two very good step-ups, if you like. It was supposed to be against Zur Abdullayev on Saturday night. I think that would have been a much harder fight for Adam Azim, bit more of a chess match. Abdullayev got a perfect, beautiful jab, which have been hard to kind of work out, if you like. Scooby's come over, and let's not. I won't speak for you and the lads, but for me, I've had to box wreck him. I've had to go back and have a look at some of his fight. He's muscle bound. He's big. He's strong. He can punch. He's a loud, brash American. And I think we're getting the vibes. Dave said it last week about Emerson Lubin, but I think this guy's 10 times worse. This fight's giving me vibes of Chris Billam-Smith against Brandon Glanton.
Yes.
Someone that's coming over, that's got a good record against club level fighters, knocking them out, talking a good game. But once you're going into the ring against somebody that's got a bit of class, has been at a better level, a bigger level, a higher level, you're going to come unstuck. But I do like the way Scooby's selling the fight. I'm looking forward to this one on Saturday night. Adam Azim, Kurt Scooby.
Yeah, the undercard fights is definitely one of the ones that's catching my eye. To be fair, I'm not overly interested in the undercard, to be honest with you. From top to bottom, I don't think it's the best, but they don't need it to be the best with the main event, obviously doing the selling for this one. But I like Azim. He's great to watch. Like you said, he's been nicely navigated by Boxer, to be fair. O'Hara Davis and Lipinets last time out. Obviously, hasn't been in the ring for 9 or 10 months. That's the only concern.
Yeah.
But Scobie, it's a showcase fight for Azim. They'll know what he's about. They know the level that he's fought at. He looks the part. He can sell it. That's probably the reason he's been bought in, if we're being honest. Can bang, but at what kind of level can he bang at? We've seen it millions of times. When these bangers step up, the power doesn't tend to translate. So, although what I'm trying to say is it's a good sellable fight for the undercard, but I don't see too many issues for Azim with it, if I'm being honest. I don't think that they would have picked him for this because 2026 is going to be a big year, isn't it? If Dalton can beat Subri or Matias, there'll be potential WBC world title on the line for Azim against Dalton Smith in a big pay-per-view. So, yeah, I think this is more... They wouldn't stick him in after 9 months out with somebody that's really got a big threat to beat him, in my opinion. That's kind of what I'm basing it on. I'm like you. I haven't watched Kurt Scobie too much. I had a little look, the few highlights in box rec, but he looks the part on box rec with a heavy knockout ratio and all that. But yeah, I'm skeptical about the level that is.
I agree. And I also think as well, Scooby, I think Adam Azim is, don't get me wrong, no boxer's overlooking anybody, or they shouldn't be overlooking anybody. I think Scooby's going to come out the traps very, very fast. He's very muscle bound because I think he's going to throw hell to leather because he knows the speed of Adam Azim, not just his hand speed, but his feet as well. Yeah. And all that muscle, Sam, around his body, we've seen with AJ, with all these muscle bound fighters. Yeah. When it gets to the latter rounds, it's not easy. You can't carry the muscle. I'm not a scientist. I won't pretend I am, but it does slow you down. You see the likes of Andy Ruiz and people that can, Tyson Fury, that can do 12 rounds very, very well, carrying fat. So there's kind of scientific evidence there to explain what's going on. I think he's going to punch himself out. I think Adam Azim's going to see the punches coming. I think he's going to wear him down, and I think he's going to break him down as well. Millions of eyeballs on this, and don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic talent. Not just in the UK, but in the world scene. But he's also got a bit like Amir Khan had and any like Filipino fighters. They've got an Asian eye on them. Yeah. He's got an Asian backer as well. I just watched the press conference and the raw for Adam Azim, the team that he's got. I went to watch Adam Azim. I went to in Wolverhampton a couple of years ago on a boxer card, and I went to the presser, the weigh-in, that day. And his entourage, there must have been about 50 blokes. Mm-hmm. 3/4 of them, Sam, doing nothing. But he had a massive, massive following. He's got a massive team, a bit like AJ, everybody eating off his plate. Yeah. He's very well supported. He's very well liked. He's a lovely kid, very humble. So I'm going to go over the predictions here, mate. As I just said there, I think Kurt Scooby would be good for 1 or 2 rounds. Hasn't got a clue, never been at this level. The hand speed is electric. The feet are electric. And he's got good combinations. He racks up the power. He racks up the knockouts. Adam Azim, I think Kurt Scooby's going to quit in about round 6. Yeah. I do. I think he's going to take a knee.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Everything points towards that, doesn't it? Like we've touched on the muscle-bound lactic acid building up, gassing, never fought at this level kind of thing. Adam Azim, KO 8 for me in this one.
Just quickly on this, Sam. I don't know if you've got the same as when I watched Adam Azim fight. You mentioned Dalton Smith. I'm glad you mentioned that. I think that version of Adam Azim beats the last version I've seen of Dalton Smith. And then when I watch Dalton Smith fight, I go, that version of Dalton Smith beats to that version of Adam Azim I've just seen. So hopefully it'd be great if he goes and beats Subri Matias. I'm not sure he will or he can. It's going to be intriguing.
Isn't it? Matias hasn't looked great recently, but
this is a different level though. This is a
different level, and we don't know about the Smith chin too much, in my opinion.
Correct.
But we will on January the 10th. But I like Azim to beat Dalton Smith if the fight. I do. I think Azim wins.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan. I do like Dalton as well, but without sitting on the fence, you've got to pick one. But my point is, mate, they're both doing everything right. They're not losing. I just hope the fight doesn't get away from us British fans. Kell Brook and Amir Khan, we got it, but we'd never know who in their prime was better. Junior Witter, Ricky Hatton, we never got it.
Yeah, we have to consider with Azim as well that he's going to become a superstar because he's going to be fighting on terrestrial television in 2026, and he's going to become, I won't say a household name because you never really know, but like he's going to...
I think you're right. So he'll become more of a household name fighting on an undercard on the Beeb than Dalton Smith will out in Puerto Rico or the States on a DAZN card at 2 o'clock in the morning. I think you're right, mate. But What round did you say for Adam Azim?
Round 8, I think I said Adam Azim.
Round 8, lovely job, Lee. Right, talking about muscle-bound fighters, Richard Riakphore, Tommy Welch. Mate, I can smell an upset here. I don't know what your thoughts on this are, but Richard Riakphore, to me, he fails. He flatters to deceive for me. He really does. He's got power. You know, he looks the part. He's big. He looks absolutely huge at heavyweight. His muscles, he's put so much muscle mass. I don't know whether that's a good or bad thing. I know he's under the tutelage now of Billy Nelson, and we know Billy Nelson always champions his fighters, and so he should. But Riakphore, he switches off. He gets lazy. He's happy to hold. And that, I know it's down the cruiserweight, and he said he's had problems in the past. You know, we're looking from the outside in, so we don't know what's going on. But the opportunity was there for him to beat Chris Billam-Smith in his backyard at Selhurst Park at Crystal Palace and become a champion of the world. It was rubbish. It was rubbish. And I mean, he didn't do anything. He got points deducted. He just didn't look himself. People were making comments about, you know, because he's spending so much time with Madonna. That's why he didn't win the fight and rubbish like that. So if he is going to be healthier and happier at heavyweight, I'm happy for him. I want to see every fighter succeed. However, there's just something missing from his game, Sam, Richard Riakphore. I'm not sold on him just yet. And I don't know at 35, him going to heavyweight is the right move. Is he going to do anything? Is he going to win not a world title, but a version of world title? This guy, Tommy Welch, I can smell an upset here because he's waited so long for his opportunity. 16-0, I think he is now. Been fighting on, you know, small halls, hotels. He's got this fight because he's mates with the Eubank team. He's confident. He's humble. He talks a good game. He looks the part. I can smell an upset here, Sam. I don't know what you think. I really can. 17-2 as an outside bet, worth a couple of quid, honestly.
It probably is, in fairness. I mean, look, Riakphore, like you said, he was favourite to become world champion in the rematch. He'd already beaten Billam-Smith, let's remember, prior to that. But he's gone really off the boil. He's been hampered with inactivity. You know, we all love Billy.
Sorry, but he lost when it mattered, didn't he? He lost before.
He lost when it mattered. Yeah. It was this. It was a home tie for him. He's Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
And he bottled it. I think is probably a fair thing to say. Now, don't get me wrong. If Richard was on my right shoulder, I wouldn't quite be as loud, but I'm safe because I know he's at the presser at the minute. So I think I'll be all right.
I think he'd admit that he wasn't great. I mean, I use the terminology rubbish, and I don't mean it to be offensive, but it wasn't a great fight per se, was it? It was awful.
Billam-Smith just did the basics and
there you go.
That way.
There you go.
But yeah, like Welsh has got a chance. I think Riakphore wins, to be fair, but that's maybe me, you know, giving him the benefit of the doubt. And obviously, I'm a Billy Nelson guy and everything like that. So look, I don't know, but the jury's out on Riakphore. That's definitely fair to say.
What about his size, Sam? What about all this extra muscle? He looks huge. He looks a body Adonis.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked. It's his second fight at heavyweight. The first one was a no fight, really. I'd like to have seen him have that Lawrence Okoli fight that was scheduled. That would have been a good benchmark to see where he's at. But obviously, that fell off the Joyce Dillian White card in the end. So yeah, look, I'm not really interested in the fight. If I'm being honest with you, it's not one that's getting the juices flowing. But I've given Riakphore the benefit of the doubt, mainly because I don't know enough about Welsh, but it's not a fight that I would have major interest in, or fight that I would, you know, pick a, you know, bet or something like that. But I mean, I want to see what the midnight train's got on Saturday. Yeah,
I mean, hopefully the zone broadcast doesn't break down, but I normally go to you boys for your live, you know, your live stream. So you're suggesting you won't be doing Richard Riakphore versus Tommy Welch live, no?
Possibly. Well, actually, look, look. If it's two guys outside of my back garden, we'll probably go live for it today, so you know that. But possibly, if not, it'll be starting from Azim definitely do Scooby against Azim.
Okay, so prediction then.
Riakphore round 4.
Right. Oh, okay. I'm going to go completely opposite. I think Tommy Welch is, people keep using his dad and things like that, and he's using his dad. I think his dad was a good British level fighter, beat Joe Bugner or something back end of his career. Things that I don't know anything really about the dad apart from what I've heard on Talksport. But I think he's going to try an old man Riakphore. I think it's going to be a lot of holding. I think there's going to be a lot of scoring and walking in. I don't think he's going to rush in, and I just don't think he's going to waste his opportunity, Sam. How crazy that sounds, and people listening to this think you're talking shit. He's never fought at any sort of level. Yes, Riakphore failed to win the world title.
For it. Yeah, he's hungry for it.
I think he's hungry for it, mate. And he's in a stadium fight. Again, whether there be millions of eyes watching this fight, probably not. I do. I'm going to go, I want to go Tommy Welsh on points. I think he might nick it. I do. I'm going to end this section here on it. Richard Riakphore, for how handsome he is and how well he looks, how well he dresses, how well he comes across. Nice. There's something missing from his game, Sam. There's just something, I think, something there that is not getting you to those highest heights, you know. And I don't know at 35 this is the right move for him.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I don't know.
Beauty of it is we'll find out on Saturday.
Correct. Last one on the card. Well, there's another one, but we're only going to cover this one. Ishmael Davis versus Sam Gilley. Proper belts on the line for this. None of this global bollocks and all this intercontinental crap. British and Commonwealth super welterweight titles, mate. Ishmael Davis has been known as the kind of guy that steps in late, you know, against Josh Kelly, Serhii Bohacek, you know, especially Bohacek, very high-level operator, and Kevin Ajako. Only a couple of months ago, that fight really annoyed me and Dave because he ended up losing the fight, didn't he? But he was in the ascendancy, switched off for some strange reason, got a bollocking from his corner, and he lost the fight. I really like Ishmael Davis. He's on a big platform yet again, mate. He's got a great backstory behind him, limited amateur career. We all know this, you know, a father at 14, been to jail, turned his life around. Again, very humble guy. Like the way he speaks. He's on a, you know, he's got a big promotion company in Matchroom backing him all the time. He's made a lot of money with Turkey cards. Fair fucking play to the guy. It's a very winnable fight on Saturday night, but again, I can smell an upset here, Sam. Sam Gilley, a Spurs fan, is kind of written in the stars, waiting for his chance. Very, very tough man. I went back and watched some of his fights. You know, defensively ain't great, but he can eat a fucking punch, and he can throw a few as well. I don't think this is as one-sided as the bookies are saying. I've got this more of a 60-40, even a kind of, you know, I don't know, 50-50 if you like. I love Ish, and I probably am going to back him because I've seen more of him, and I do like him as a person. And he does throw some nice shapes. He's always in the fight, but again, going back to Riakphore, mate, a couple of times, I don't really use the Serhii Bohacek one as a barometer. Josh Kelly had his moments, but a guy like a Jarko, no disrespect to him, but when you're in the ascendancy and you should be going forward and looking for the stoppage and letting the guy come back in. I mean, was that for a version of a title or something? But again, switching off. This is an intriguing fight, and it's for a British super welterweight title as well, Sam. All of us boxing fans say we never see a shit British title fight, do we?
Yeah, that is right. Actually, yeah, we've seen some crackers, haven't we? Just recently, that Chamberlain Rafferty fight was top draw. I'm with you. I love Ishmael Davis as well. Yeah. I actually thought he was quite unlucky against Kevin Ajako, another guy I actually really like as well.
Well, it was close. I thought he'd done enough, to be honest, Sam. But there was parts of there you think, you know, there's a few swing rounds in. I think actually over those 3 minutes, did you do enough? And you go back and watch, you think, I don't know, you know, I can see where the judges are going here. But yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah,
no, you're all good. Look, it's difficult because he's the one coming in off the defeat. Almost, he had a run-out victory last time out, so he could fight for these belts or whatever. But close against the Jarko. Obviously, he had success against Josh Kelly at Wembley, but he was short notice for that. He had him going in the last round, but didn't quite do enough. And then Bohacek is a bit of a level above him. So, and then you compare it to Gilley. Obviously, he's won the Commonwealth Championship and had a few good victories, but last time out he drew and he looked pretty cumbersome in that. So I can see why Ishmael's the favourite. I'm kind of with you as well. I think Ish will get this one done. But I think it's got potential to be a cracker because, like you said, Gilley's a Spurs guy. He's going to get an extra 10% from that. Ishmael never really takes a backward step. So I think this could sneak it as fight of the night. It's going to be a war, this one. But Ishmael on points for me is the pick.
Yeah. I'm going the same way, exactly the same way as you, mate. I do think if Ishmael Davis at any time when he thinks he's on top and he does switch off, Sam Gilley's not just going to stand there and let him, you know, use him as a punch bag. He will come forward, he will throw, and he will throw rounds away. But I think he has to be on it. He has to be on it. He can't keep losing fight. There's only so much match room to take. Yes, I get Josh Kelly was a step above. Bohacek was a step above. But you're kind of losing to English / British level opponents, you know, constantly. Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, other promotional companies, how well you are and how nice you are and how the backstory, they're only promoting you for so long. Look what happened to Josh Kelly. They pissed all over him after he lost to Avanesian. Now he's kind of back in the ascendancy and being, you know, mandated to fight Murtaz Eliev. Eddie Hearn's taking it back on. So, yeah, I wish them both the luck. I think I agree with you, mate. I think it's going to be a cracking fight, but I do think Ishmael Davis is going to do just enough to win it on points. Right, I've got you for 10 minutes. Let's crack on with a top-ranked card over in Mexico, San Luis Potosi, to be precise. I don't know if I pronounced that right. No idea. It's gone a bit under the radar, this fight, mate, or this card. It's a co-pro with Zanfa Boxing. Now, obviously, as many boxing fans know, Top Rank have not got a TV deal as of yet, so they're fighting fucking all over the place. I remember watching an Oscar Valdez fight, mate, in Mexico on Box Azteca. So yeah, all over the place. I think this is available on ESPN Boxing Classics via Pluto TV or Hubi or something like that. Anyway, let's crack into the fight, mate. Rafael Espinoza versus Arnold Khegai. WBO World Featherweight Championship on the line. Rafael Espinoza, mate, literally came out of nowhere, fighting in Mexico against club level fighters, knocking out dudes left, right, and center. You know, took on Robsy Moreira, beat him, dropped him, got the title, beat him again in the rematch. He's gone on now to defend his title 4 or 5 times. He looks probably the best champion out of the 4 at 126. He's come out of nowhere. Everyone's talking about him. Everyone's possibly avoiding him as well. You know, he's 6'2". Fuck knows how he makes 126. Very excited, mate. This guy's got the lot, and it's a shame because apart from he likes your Nues and your Nakatanis and your Bams and the Chocolatitos to an extent, certain lower level fighters get ignored. And Rafael Espinoza, since I've been watching him since that Robsy Moreira's one fight, a guy a bit like Nick Ball and Connor Walker, to an example, to British fight, he's never in shit fights. This guy's pure entertainment, but he's pure class as well. Constantly defending that title. Arnold Khegai, the Ukrainian, he's in a tough fucking fight here, mate. And I think he could get stopped, you know. I think the first time he gets stopped this weekend. I'm high on Espinoza. I think he's fantastic. Yeah,
I actually agree with you on Espinoza. I think he's the best featherweight in the world as well. I always laugh about the potential of him and Nick Ball fighting. You got 6'2" versus 5'2". I think Ball's a bit more than 5'2", but just shows you, as you said earlier, more than one way to skin a cat, isn't there? But no, great victory in the rematch over Ramirez. I just want to see him kind of enter that Riyadh season kind of mix because there's so many good fights at 126. You know, that's another one of the underrated divisions, in my opinion. I think Mr. Inoue will be joining the fray once he's dealt with his Nakatani business, hopefully next year. But yeah, I think Espinoza will stop Arnold Khegai in this fight. I'll go. Oh, is that how you pronounce it? What do I call him? Khegai. That's right. Yeah. Khegai. He's been around a while, Sam, hasn't he, Khegai? To be fair, he's been around a while, Khegai. Yeah, has been around a while. Yeah, I actually looked at the box rec and saw who he's
never been stopped. I know he had a dance with Stephen Fulton and kind of got schooled. I think Joet Gonzalez was a close fight the last time he was out. But...
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but I think Espinoza will stop him. Round 6, round 7.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the same, mate. I think Khegai's tough, so I think it might go a little bit longer. I'm going to go into the championship rounds. I'm going to go round 11. Round 11 for
Espinoza. Espinoza is, and he's getting better every fight.
That's my point. That is my point. He's getting better every fight, and he's not in shit fights. He's in exciting fights. He's a front-footed fighter that can also take a punch, let alone throw a punch, you know. And don't forget, Sam, this is in Mexico. It's a homecoming for him. First time he's fought there since 22, 23. Okay. So statements are going to be made, mate. Statements are going to be made. Richard Torrez Jr., the great American hope. Well, he's going to have to be, isn't he? Because they haven't got any other American hopes in heavyweight division. They've got Jared Anderson and they've got Deontay Wilder, who's more or less finished and washed or whatever. What's your thoughts on Torrez Jr.? Because I'm a fan. Dave's to a fan extent, but he hates the way that he fights. He doesn't understand how he's so successful so far with a kind of style that's gone from amateur to pro, but looks a mess. Head down, hands up, but very effective doing it. I mean, he beat Vianello. Was it last time?
Yeah, that win aged well, didn't it? After Vianello's last win on the boots on the card. But
if you go and watch that, he caused Vianello all sorts of problems with that strange, kind of, crouching, arms up in the air style. I like him. He's got that, that tash, that 80s porn star, German porn star kind of look about him. Again, you see him, outside of the boxing ring. He talks to the game. He's very funny. He's a character. I'm not sure if he's going to be the great American hope, but so far he hasn't really put a foot wrong. And you just said there, you've nailed it. That Vianello win has kind of aged very, very well because Vianello struggled like fuck against him. And now Vianello's been a possible opponent for Anthony Joshua on his comeback trail. So, yeah, Richard Torrez Jr., mate, thoughts?
Yeah, well, whenever I think of Torrez Jr., I just think of Jalolov flattening him in
the amateurs, yeah.
In the amateurs, yeah. But then funny enough, Jalolov's actually fighting in Tashkent tomorrow night, and his career is baffling. Yeah, Jalolov's fighting, so is Giasov. There's a
how have I missed that, man?
Yeah, but it's only they're fighting in 8 rounders, tickovers. Usyk and Terence Crawford are both in attendance. I think it's one of them that, you know, they're paying people to turn up kind of thing, because I don't know why Terence Crawford would be in Tashkent when Bomac and everyone's over at the Eubank fight. But yeah, those guys are fighting tomorrow. But yeah, Torrez Jr. Why I mentioned Jalolov is I always think of when he flattened him
I starched him. Yeah,
he's just an absolute flat line. But yeah, I think look, he's a good fighter, isn't he? He's a good prospect, but he's, you know, I even think like if you stuck him in with Fabio Wardley now, I think Wardley would chin him, honestly.
What do you think of his style, though? It's not an amateur style. He's kind of transformed straight away into this kind of barroom brawler, isn't he? It's an odd style.
Yeah, I'm not, honestly, I'm not convinced on him. I'm not. And said the same about Jared Anderson. And I know they're similar ages, and Jared Anderson's gone into the abyss since the Bacoli fight. But I just, you know, I think he's too easy to hit for a start, Torrez. And yeah, he performed well against Vianello, but maybe the clash of styles fed into him nicely. Yeah. Look, he'll beat Salek, won't he, at the weekend? He'll knock him out.
It's 80-1 on Sam in a 2-horse race.
Yeah,
so.
It's a tick over fight, isn't it? Yeah. The Top Rank, I like what they're doing because they're putting their fighters on free to air when they're looking for this new TV deal, which I'm sure they'll be fine on. But yeah, it's not really a
pick a round.
Round 3.
Can I just add, his opponent, Thomas Salek, he's been stopped by Nathan Gorman and Cash Ali.
Yeah, I actually saw that.
So, I mean, that's very, very telling.
Do him in a round.
Torres is going to do him in a round. I'm going round 1, mate.
Yeah.
You're right. It's a tick over fight. I was going to say get some rounds, but I don't think he will.
Get
a paycheck for Christmas. So,
yeah.
Just have a look at him. But people, have a look at his style for how long it lasts. It annoys Dave how kind of people can't get rid of him or can't land, or, you know, it's very inquisitive. But obviously he's ranked quite high on one of the sanctioning bodies as well. So I think he's number 4 with the IBF. So
yeah,
you know, it's only a matter of time before Top Rank put their hand in their pocket and give him someone that's maybe going to throw back, if you like. And I'm the same with this guy here, Emilliano Vargas, to end the last of the previews, mate. My prospect of the year. Every year, me and Dave pick a prospect. He went for Janae Bostan this year. He hasn't had a great year. I picked Emilliano Vargas, 4th out of the year this year, out 4 times, 15-0, 13 KOs, age 21, mate. Flash, slick, exciting, good looking, got the Vargas name, great following, good on the mic, can fight. Profile building him, mate. Profile building against Jonathan Montreal, doing everything right, Top Rank with him, carefully matchmaking him. But again, I'll go in straight away here. Emilliano Vargas would look $1 million here. I don't think Montreal's ever been stopped. You can correct me if you've got Boxrec in front of you, but he'll probably take him to school, have a feel out, take him to school and stop him probably round 6. But on Emilliano Vargas, we know their profile building, getting those viral moments, selling him very, very well. But how long? I spoke about paying people, Top Rank paying people to come in with Richard Torrez Jr. and the likes. How long do we have to wait before Bob Arum and Top Rank put their hand in their pocket and give someone to Emilliano Vargas who's going to hit him back? Because, I mean, the division he's in, Sam, it's stacked. It's Hitchens, it's Antoine Russell, it's Super Mateus, Eufimo Lopez, Isaac Cruz, Keyshawn Davis. The list's endless. I'm not saying he's ready just yet for that caliber, but how long do you think we're going to have to wait before we say, right, he's in a fucking fight here?
Yeah, look, he's got the surname to go with it, hasn't he, as well? Yep. You know, normally the pressure comes quite early when you've got a famous last name in the sport of boxing. We've seen it a million times. I agree with you. I think I'll go 7 to be different to you, but I think he gets a stoppage win against Montreal here. Again, good exposure to be on a card like this, which I think is going to go on free to air. But I'd like to see, I mean, he's still only, he's not old, is
21.
he? 21, there you go, you know, but look, the likes of Devin Haney and people like that were winning world championships at 21, 22. I'm not saying that he's on Haney's level right now. He might well be. You know, he's a big puncher. He's exciting. But yeah, I'm with you. Let's see him in. It doesn't have to be a Mateus.
No, that's my point. That's my point, mate.
Just get him in with a fringe guy, maybe.
Yeah, that's the point. Do we kind of go down a kind of William Cepeda role where we kind of pad the record out to 38-0? Are we prepared to wait that long? I know he's 21, so maybe we are, but I don't want to get bored of him. I don't want to say, even though he fights in America, but us hardcore fans do kind of stop up. You know me, I work anyway, so I watch it, but I don't want to think like, oh, Vargas is in against someone I've never heard of, ranked 500 or something in the world. Right, round 2, I'll just watch the highlights. I don't want that. I want to actually tune in and watch him against someone who's go, right, motherfucker, I'm going to come and fight you now. You know, you've got the name, you've got all this behind you, you've got the backing. I'm going to teach you a lesson. I want that kind of, but maybe I'm rushing him at 21, but
if you got it, you got it, though.
Yeah, exactly.
As well.
Exactly, mate. So, yeah, look at that. 59 minutes, bang on an hour, fitted it all in. I know you're a very, very busy man. You're in demand. You've got another podcast to do now. So, thanks for coming on, brother. Much appreciated.
Mate. Enjoyed it, as always.
Usual shout-outs and handles of people to find your fantastic podcast and your content, mate.
Yeah, just SW Fight Hub, as it says on the screen on YouTube. Same on X as well. They're the only platforms I'm really active on. But yeah, mate, been a pleasure as always. Always love chopping it up about the great sport we love to hate, boxing, all the time. So yeah, look forward to the next time, Dave.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, mate. That's the end of episode 155, guys. Again, please like, share, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Sam, Masses, enjoy the boxing. Peace out, guys.
Cheers.
So, Sam's gone. Only had him for an hour. He's got other places to be, other people to speak to, other podcasts to do. But I thought I'd save the best till last. Obviously, Dave's away, as you can tell by the episode at the moment. He'll be back very, very soon, hopefully. But I've managed to get in touch with him so he can send his thoughts and previews and predictions to one of our good friends, I'd like to say now, on the podcast. She's been on a couple of times. She keeps in touch constantly on Instagram. We follow each other. Just such a nice person inside and out the ring. Obviously, on my banner there, I'm talking about Jasmina Zapotoczna. She's made her way over to France today to defend her proper EBU Flyweight belt against French woman Justine Lamande. Over in France, Ardennes. France, I've never heard of the place, but I know the Lamande is the hometown fighter. Now, I don't know if this is a mandatory or a voluntary, but I'm just glad Jazz is getting out there and making her first defense of the title. She's got gum shield, got gloves, will travel. That says a lot about the girl, you know. It should be the other way around, but she's out there now defending her belt. She's beat Chloe Watson earlier on in the year in that fantastic fight that many had not being the favourite. Chloe Watson may have been a step too far for her. Lamande's fought against Watson. I've gone back and watched the footage. She made it a real tough night for Chloe. Me and Dave, I'll speak for Dave on this one as well. We believe Chloe Watson is kind of still stuck in between styles. She's gone from that amateur point scoring to, being under the tutelage of Ricky Hatton, where she's got a lot more aggressive. We saw her out kind of recently against Shannon Ryan. They had, unfortunately for Chloe, she had that big, busted eye, which stopped the fight. So, it was unfortunate. But when she went in with Jasmina Zapotoczna at the Royal Albert Hall earlier on in the year, it was a bit of a masterclass in the end by Jazz. And obviously, we're going to be biased because she's one of our favourite fighters, one of our favourite people. But she's improved so much since that fight she lost to Shannon Ryan, a couple of years ago. She went on the Matchroom DAZN card, was supposed to lose against Maisie Rose Courtney, another Matchroom fighter who they had high hopes for. Jazz went in there and done a job on her. The sweet science, if you like. She hasn't gone in there and just started throwing haymakers and hoping for the best. This is educated pressure. She knows what she's doing. Good feet, good hands, good lateral movement, good feints. She's up at the Dickies gym up at Batley under the tutelage of Mark Hurley, that very small gym me and Dave speak about on here. We've got another friend of the show, Sylvia Douligala. She's in there. Mark's produced to be a Central Area champion at the moment. Callum Simpson obviously will be out in France. He's normally in the corner with Yaz. He's got, the 168 version of the super middleweight belt. He was going into action against Troy Williamson very, very soon. So it's a nice, neat, tidy gym up there. Small gym, which is fantastic because when you read interviews or you see boxers speaking on social media and all kinds of reports, you see all these boxers go over to trainers that have got good reputations, do train champions, but it comes at a cost. They go there and they're kind of ended up pushed to the side, or they're training with their number 2 or their number 3. They're not getting the attention where it seems like, from what we're hearing and what we understand, that Mark Hurley's gym up, in Dickie's gym in Batley, there is they've got something good going on. But let's get back to the fight. Dave will send his prediction over, and I'll attach it to this as well. But Jazz is getting better. She's getting better and better and better. I think Le Mans is her third time of asking to win this belt. She's failed twice before. This is possibly the last hurrah now. I mean, I know she's 33, and the girls do go on for quite a long time, so she may get another shot hopefully when Jazz does win and move on. Le Mans 13-3-1. She's had 1 KO. Jazz is 9-1. Never had a stoppage. It'd be nice for her to get a stoppage. I can't see it personally because she doesn't seem to fight like that. She seems just too nice. If the opportunity's there to go for the kill, it seems like she'd rather, score more points or make her opponent look even more sillier, with the sweet science and the skills. But she's got an awkward style, as I just mentioned. She's got great feet. She gets in, she lands, she's scoring, she's out the back door. The counter punch is near perfect. Do you know what I mean? She's making her opponents miss. You go by the Chloe Watson fight, and you go by the Maisie Rose Courtney fight. And I think if she ever had the rematch with Shannon Ryan, Shannon Ryan's a good fighter, but I think Jazz now has improved so much, she'd probably take her to school as well. That's how much we think of her. But yeah, this is an EBU belt, as I said. My thoughts on sanctioning bodies and belts, hashtag big the belts, all that kind of things like that. But that's different people's opinions, and certain belts are beneficial for certain fighters. So, she wins here, that makes her first defense of her title. It's linked with the WBC. In the WBC at the moment, the champion is Gabrielle Fundora. She's undisputed. How long she stays at this weight class, whether she should be moving up to Superfly, but even though she's talking about moving down, we spoke about a couple of months ago, there's an opportunity there for Jazz, to get a final eliminator to be ordered, and possibly, have a mandatory for either vacant belt, or to fight the likes of Fundora. These are the kind of fights. These are the kinds of things that dreams are made of. This is why not just women but males as well, vice versa, are in the game for. So she's had 1 fight this year. She lives the life. She's always in the gym. I am waffling a bit because I want to kind of sell it as well. It's in France. I'm going to have trouble finding a TV stream for it, so we'll be looking at certain other avenues to find it. It's on at the same time Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, so we'll be flicking in between. And obviously in the morning, early hours of the morning, I'll be watching a bit of Rafael Espinoza do his thing. But it's obvious the way I'm going. Jasmina Zapotoczna to put in a bit of a masterclass there against a girl that will try, may have a little bit of success, but I can't see her winning any of the 3-minute rounds, 2-minute rounds, 10-2s, unfortunately. But I think it's all Jazz needs. This girl's never been stopped. Jazz won't stop her, but it'd be very, very one-sided. And I hope then she can kick on, to go internationally in the terms of fighting some of these Mexican, Japanese girls, mandated, ordered fights for eliminators and all kind of things like that. So we're behind you here on Robodope. I think a lot of your fans are behind you. Hopefully we get to see you fight live, and then hopefully, you can come back on the pod with that belt yet again and explain how easy the job was for you out in France. So yeah, we're all rooting for you, mate. Just quickly as well, I did mention this to Jazz. I want to do a little bit of promotion here. So recently I've been drinking these drinks called Oshi. People may recognize them from a certain supermarket or shop in the UK. I just realized they're Polish. Now, there's a Polish tennis player on here. I don't know if you can see her. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce her name. Iga Swiatek. I'll pronounce it, but it's probably wrong. She looks like a tennis superstar from Poland. Now, I will tag Oshi in my Twitter and Instagram posts, but I think Jasmina should be on this spot as well. Polish superstar, boxing superstar, European champion, going on to big things. Have the tennis player one side, have Jazz the other side. Everyone's a winner, and your drinks are selling like hotcakes in the UK. So it can't be a bad thing. But yeah, we're rooting for you, Jazz, Saturday night and still.
Firstly, I'd like to wish Jasmina Zapotoczna the best of luck in a European title defence in France this Saturday. She's a massive part of our show. She gives us our time. We think she's great, and we're massive supporters of her on this podcast. I don't see anything other than a Jasmina win. I think she's going to be too fast, too slick, too quick, too strong, and she's going to show the talent that she did in that great night at Royal Albert Hall when she won the title. Fully behind her, and I think that she's going to do the business, and she is going to do it on points. Come on, Jasmina, let's do this.